So our second part of today's lesson is now just simplifying radicals, but using denominators and other terms in it. So it's very simple. We're going to be doing the same thing, but we're just going to be simplifying an extra step. So step one is to still simplify the radical like we did on the first worksheet, okay? So remember, I'll slide this over a little bit. Perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and 144. Okay, so remember those perfect squares, we're gonna need it. So the first step is, you know what, I will go ahead and write that out. So step one is simplify the radical. Okay, and what I mean by simplifying the radical is doing what we did on the last worksheet. So I'm finding two terms that multiply to get me 24, but one of them is a perfect square. So I know that 24 is divisible by 4 with 6, so I'm going to use those two terms, okay? I'm then going to do the same thing, break it down, and get my answer. So this is 2 square root of 6. That's my answer because the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 6 I cannot simplify anymore, okay? So that's where I'm going to stay. So now that we have this, we need to plug our simplified radical back in for 24. So plug, answer, back in. And what I mean by that is I have 2. Now I have times 2 square root of 6 all over 4. So I plugged my answer back in for the square root of 24. Okay? Step 3 is then to multiply. So you're going to multiply the numbers in front of radical. So in this case, it's 2 times 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say 4 square root of 6 all over 4. Okay? I am not done yet because this can be simplified one more time. Okay? I'm going to write it kind of really small. Okay? And my fourth step is then just to divide the top number by the bottom, okay? And that I'm gonna do right here. So what I mean by that is 4 could divide into 4 evenly, and in this case, 4 and 4 could just cancel out because that will equal 1, and our answer here will just be the square root of 6, okay? So that's how we're gonna do those, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do number 2 with you, okay? So here we have the square root of 12 times the square root of 6 over 6. Now, my step 1 is to simplify the radical. Notice here, the factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3, and none of those are perfect squares, so that's going to stay the same. Okay, so this is the most simplified form. So the only thing I could do after that is I'm going to skip step 1 and 2 because we're already there. Then I'm going to skip step 3 because I have nothing else to multiply. So the only thing I need to do in this case is step 4. And that's just to divide the top number by the bottom number. So 12 divided by 2, which gives me 6. Okay, so I'm going to write that over here. And then you can't forget to add along the square root of 6 here. All right? So that's how we're going to do those. Okay? I'm going to do one more with you, and then the rest you'll do on your own for homework. Okay? So here we are again. My step 1 is to simplify the radical. So can I simplify 12? And I know that I can because 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 is a perfect square. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down. And the square root of 4 is 2, and this will become my answer. Okay? So now step 2 is then to plug that back in for 12. So step 2. 2 times 2 square root of 3 all over 2. Okay? Step 4 is then to multiply, Step 3 is then to multiply the two numbers in front of the radical. So here, 2 times 2, which gives me 4, and then square root of 5 all over 2. And then the last step is then to divide, right? So we need to divide the numbers that are outside of the radical. So in this case, 4 and 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, and I can keep the square root of 5, and this is my answer. Okay? So that's how you'll be doing those. If you have any questions, let me know. You're going to do question 4 and 5, 6, 7, and 8 for homework. That's all. Okay?